Hi and welcome to Quilting with Lori. My name is Lori Dickman. Today we are going to be working on part 10 of my beginning quilting series. This of course is part 10, so if you are new to my channel and have not seen the introduction in part 1 through 9 of this class, you'll want to go back and watch those and then come on back to today's class. I will have the playlist linked below in the description box. And everything that you need for this class, you are going to see attached to each of the videos in the description box, the PDFs of instruction, the PDFs which are templates that are needed. All of it is there for you. I had a number of my viewers request that I teach some beginning quilting classes, so that's what I started late summer this year, and it will continue through January. There's just so many wonderful classes, and I hope that you'll join us. Maybe you are a seasoned quilter, but maybe you'd like to do the sampler quilt, and this is what it looks like. It's a wonderful quilt where I'm teaching techniques that start from the very basic to the more complicated. So there's a lot of different things you're going to learn in this class. So I hope that you'll join us. And as you see, I like to put everything in my notebook, all of the PDFs of instructions, as well as the blocks that I've already completed are in this book. So I recommend that you put something like that together. So today, in the description box, there is a PDF of instructions, which I'm going to be covering today. There is also a PDF for the butterfly block, and this is the block we are making today. You're going to be learning Fusible Applique in this class, and I think you'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So I've brought you to my tabletop so we could get started. And in the introduction video to this beginning class, I taught you how to square up and cut fabric. So if you're unfamiliar with that, make sure that you go back and watch that. And then as we have cut pieces each and every week that we've done a class, I've had some remnants left over. The instructions on the PDF tell you what you need to have available to you. For instance, for this class, we need a 9.5-inch square. That's our background square. And I've pressed that diagonally on the creases, and I'll share with you why I've done that here in a minute. I also needed a focus fabric. I've got two different pinks here, plus a dark for my antenna. So my plan for this little block here is I'm going to use the focus fabric for his wings. I'm going to use the darker pink for his body, and then this dark beige here for his antenna. And then, of course, this is the block. So go ahead and grab what you need. I just grabbed remnants from previous cuts that we've had. So I keep everything in a basket, or actually it's in a cube, so that I have everything I need each time I work on a new block. I just go in there and see if there's something already cut that will work perfectly for what I'm needing. So those are the fabrics. I need the 9.5-inch background. We're needing a 2.5-inch square for the antenna. This is bigger than that, but so I'll have plenty there. And it also indicated for this dark medium pink, I needed a 2-inch by 7.5-inch approximately, and there's plenty here that will work for me. And then of my focus fabric, I'm using, we needed 4 by 13. This is actually bigger than that, so this will work perfectly. So these are the remnants as well as the background square that I'm going to use. But before we get to that, let's take a peek at the templates. So these are the templates for this butterfly. There are the wings, template C and B. This is the body, template F. And these are the little antenna, D and E. So we're going to be tracing those templates. I have this stapled together. I will not cut this out. This paper template, when you print this off in the description box, you'll find this PDF of the templates. Make sure, number one, that you print it at 100%. Many printers default to fit to page, and that will reduce the size of the template. So make sure that you change that so that it's 100%, and that each of these templates will print at the correct size. And then staple it together. You will not cut these out of the paper. That stays with your pattern so that you'll have it in the future if you want to make this again. What you will be doing is tracing these elements onto the paper side of a Fusible. This is you can use so many different, there are many, many different brands. This one is Heat and Bond, it's a light. You can find light Steamosine too. You can find Soft Fuse. There's just so many different brands out there where they make a light adhesive, and it's a paper back. So sometimes there's only paper on one side, sometimes there's paper on both. This is a Heat and Bond, and there's adhesive here, and the paper is here. And what we're going to be doing is simply, I'll probably cut out a segment of this because it's too big to work with. I'm going to place this on my paper and trace these elements. So let me get a segment of this cut out, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So as you can see here, I cut out a rectangle of my Heat and Bond Fusible, and it's a paper-backed Fusible. And what I simply did was I placed it over the top of the element. So I placed it on top of C, and I traced it. I just used a pencil and traced it onto the paper side of this Fusible. So that's the fuse part, this is the paper part, and I traced it. Ignore the dotted lines. There are dotted lines here on the outside, and if you were making this a needle turn, or if you were using the needle turn applique technique, then you would need to cut out your fabric including this 1/4 inch seam allowance, because then what you're doing is you're folding that 1/4 inch underneath and you're doing a needle turn applique. I am not teaching a needle turn applique today. I am simply going to teach the Fusible applique, which is very popular, and it's a very quick and easy way to applique. So you're going to use the dark lines only, just ignore the dotted lines. So I traced on the dark lines. So I have C there. I wrote the letter C, and this is going to be of my focus fabric, which is this one right here. And then I also traced B, which is on the back side here. I traced B, and it's also my focus fabric. And I traced F, which is this one right here. That's the body. And that is being, I'm going to be using medium pink number 2. And that is this one right here that I'll be using. So now the last thing that I have to trace is the D and E elements. These are the little antennae, and I want to trace them closely together. And that way when I loosely cut them out of this paper, they're kind of close together and I'm not wasting anything. So here we go. All right, so that is D and E. And the next thing that I'm going to do, as the instructions tell you, use a paper scissors and loosely cut out these elements. These two I'm going to be pressing onto the back side or the wrong side of the focus fabric. At this point, you are not cutting on the lines. You are allowing about, a 1/4 inch or so around the outside edge. So you'll go ahead and just loosely cut out these elements at this point, as you see me doing. And move that out of the side, out of the way. What we'll be doing next is, as you noticed, I cut out B and C, which are the wings. And if you just had a plain fabric, it wouldn't matter how you put these on here. But because I have a stripe to my fabric, I kind of want to be fussy about how I put it on here. So the wings on this butterfly are going to go like this, as with the body in the center. So I want this one here and this one here, so that my stripes are going in the same direction on both wings. I want them to go horizontally on both of the wings. So I will end up taking this to the iron, and I will press this to the wrong side of the fabric. That's the right side. This is the wrong side. That's the adhesive. This is the paper back. I will press that following your manufacturer's instructions. and they'll all tell you how many seconds you need to press it for. Usually it's between 4 to 15 seconds, and I think 15 is quite a long time, but you just follow your manufacturer's instructions, pressing them down so that it will adhere this element here to the wrong side of your fabric. So I'll do that here in a moment. But next, what I want to do, again, I'm using a paper scissors, not my fabric scissors at this point, because you are cutting paper right here. I'm leaving some of the Fusible around the edge. The reason that you want to leave some Fusible around the edges because you want that fuse to adhere all the way to that edge of that item. And then once you cut it out, then that Fusible will be all the way to the very edge. So then this one I am going to fuse to the back of this dark, it's a pink number 2. I will take that to the iron and fuse that. And this one right here, these are the little antenna. I will fuse them to the back of this dark beige. So once I have them fused, then I will cut them out. So let me go fuse these. I'll bring them back. So as you see here, I have a number of them fused and cut out. So here we've got the wings, the antenna. It was in there. I cut it out. And so there's the body, excuse me, these are the antenna, there's the body, there are the wings, and so they're all cut out. There's a little bit of adhesive that's left on these pieces of fabric. If you like to collage quilt, this might come in handy using some of those scraps as you're collaging, because then you already have some adhesive on there. So that's something to think about. You can save it for collage if you like to do that. So now what we're going to do is, now that this is cool, everything has cooled down and I've cut it. I did use my paper scissors cutting with the paper facing me, and that worked out fine, you know, even though there's fabric on the underside. Now what we're going to do is remove the paper, and we're going to place these onto our background square. Before we do that, I just want to mention, with your background square, this is a 9.5-inch square. For your background, that's the size of our blocks before they're sewn into the quilt. You'll want to press them diagonally each way, and that will help you. Those creases will be our guides as we place these elements onto the block. So let me show you how you can actually get the paper off of the adhesive part of the paper off of this. Sometimes it's tricky, but I just take a pen and I scratch on the paper side, and then you can grab that paper and very easily pull the whole thing off. There you go. So that's off, and so here is the front side. This is the adhesive side, and that's going to be sewn or pressed onto that. So let's go ahead and remove this one here. It's a very quick and easy way to get paper off of your adhesive. And then the last one here, or the last 3 I should say. And these little ones. There. So all of the paper has been removed. Now let's put this block in the center here. Make sure it's on the screen so that you can see it. All right, this crease is really prominent. Hopefully you can see that crease. And you'll start with putting your little body in there, and he's going to lay on that diagonal crease. And I'm just trying to make sure that I have him about centered there. And then we're going to put the wings on here. And I believe if you look at this, the wings are going to go underneath that body. And I guess it doesn't matter if you want your wings to be on top. That's totally up to you. You could have your wings on top of the body like that, or you could move them underneath, whatever you prefer. As I'm looking at this, I am going to make some adjustments here. I want there to be enough fabric at this point and at this rounded section that I'll have room for my 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I am making adjustments there. You know, I kind of like my wings on top. I might just leave it like that. I like that. That's cute. And then we have our little antenna. So we might need to pull him down a little bit so that we can fit our antenna under there. And again, make sure that you're allowing enough room at the top of the curved side of the antenna so that you have your 1/4 inch seam allowance, because there will be a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around this block when we sew it together. So once you are happy with the placement, and play around with it and move things around, just identify what you like and how you want it to be placed on here. Once you're very happy with how it's laying there, then and only then you can press it. Once you press it, it is permanent. And so you might even want to get this arranged while the block is on the ironing board. That way you don't have to move the block. I'm going to have to move my block to the ironing board, and so I'll have to make some adjustments once I get there. So that's something to think about. But go ahead, and once you get it placed on there, then go ahead and press. I have my block, or my butterfly, adhered to my block. So I have fused it. It's ready to be appliqued. So I'm going to set up my machine to applique. And I'm going to use a blanket stitch for the wings and the body. I'll probably just use a straight stitch around the edges of these antennas since they're so tiny. For the antenna, I'm going to use this brown. This is a rayon embroidery thread. I love this rayon threads because they just give a beautiful sheen to the thread and to the applique. And for the rest of the butterfly, I'm going to use this burgundy here, or this dark purple. Because the wings of my butterfly, they don't really stand out as much as I'd like them to between the background. My background is sort of a busy background. I'm definitely going to use this dark thread to applique around that. I'll use a blanket stitch around that as well. And that will make sure that they stand out so that you can really see the wings. And then I'll, of course, also applique around this part. So I'm going to set up my machine right now, and then I'm going to bring you over there and you can see how I'm going to accomplish that. So the first thing I did was I removed my piecing foot, which is the 1/4 inch piecing foot, and I put on a foot that will allow me to do a zigzag type stitch, because I'll be doing a blanket stitch, and that allows the needle to move back and forth. I have regular thread in the bobbin, and I have my embroidery thread threaded in my machine. And let me show you the stitch that I'll be using here. This might be glaring for you. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm using number 26, which is an applique stitch. And it will go back and forth over the edge of the applique piece. So let me show you how I'm going to accomplish that. First thing I'm going to do is bring my bobbin thread up. So there we go. There's the bobbin thread. Then I'm going to position my needle as I start this stitch so that it is right in the background piece of the fabric next to the butterfly wing. And here we go. I might need to make some adjustments to the tension. Let me check that out here. So I've made some adjustments by loosening the upper tension a little bit. Let's see if that helps so that the bobbin thread doesn't get pulled up as much. Alright, so I'm letting it go. I want it to stop right back there, so I'm going to put my needle down right there, and I'm going to swing this around. It started off with the tension having a little bit too much of my bobbin thread coming up, but it's much better with the last few stitches that I have done. So now that I've swung it around, we're off to the races again. I'm ensuring that the straight stitching is right on the very edge on the background part of the block, and the only thing that's going up into the wing for the applique piece is the needle or the horizontal stitch. And then if you need to stop, I'm going to put the needle down and pivot. Go ahead and do that. I didn't do so well on that turn there. So I've gone all the way around this wing. Now I want to bring my thread up to the top. I've already done a backing stitch so that it will secure it. Bring my thread up, trim it here, trim that there. So here is the little wing. So it is done. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish this outer wing. Then I'm going to stitch the top of his body. Then I'm going to stitch the bottom of his body using this same stitch, this applique stitch. Then I'm going to go with a straight stitch and the dark thread, this darker thread, for the antenna. And I'm just simply going to do a straight stitch all the way around. Let me finish these in this applique stitch. I'll show it to you and then I'll set it up for a straight stitch for the antenna. Let me share a trick with you. If your needle starts getting gummy with the adhesive, you can simply use a wipe and clear, the lens wipes that you can use for glasses. These work beautifully to just wipe off all of the gunk that might be on your needle. So I like to keep one of these handy as I'm working on adhesive applique. It's just a great little trick to get rid of any gunk that might be on your needle. So I have put in my dark brown thread and I've set my machine now for a straight stitch. I've pulled up my bobbin thread to the top and I've done a locking stitch. Now I'm simply going to do a straight stitch. It's just a 2.2 stitch length on the very edge, or maybe a 1/16 of an inch away from the edge of my element. What you might want to do is, if you have the option of being able to make sure that your settings can be put needle down, then I would do that. That way every time you stop and pivot, your needle goes down into the fabric. So I'm just going to keep working my way around. And as you're working on applique, if you're new to applique, just go slowly. Let me move some of this stuff out of my way so it doesn't fall off. Go slowly, pivot when you need to, and for these little antennae, I'm taking like one stitch at a time and pivoting. If I were working on my new Janome, which is upstairs, I should be doing that, I wouldn't even have to worry about lifting up the presser foot. It would automatically be doing that for me, so that's really where I should be working today. Now I'm coming to the end, and I'm going to do a locking stitch at the end, and then I'll bring my bobbin up and complete this. All right, there's a locking stitch. All right, now I'm going to bring my thread, my bobbin thread up. Grab my nippers here. There we go. All right, one of the antenna is on, ready to go. Now I need to do the other antenna. My butterfly block is finished. It's just adorable. I'm glad that I used the dark burgundy colored thread around the wings because that helps to set off the wings, because this background that I've chosen for the quilt, it's kind of a busy background, but it works well. It's fine. And again, what I had used when I chose all of this was what I've got in my scrap stash. I love to be able to use my scrap stash, and so that is what I'm using for this entire quilt. So we have done everything now from simple piecing. Now we've learned applique with fuse. And next time, we're going to be working with Hawaiian applique. And this is where you are going to learn some needle turn applique. So we're learning a couple of different types of applique techniques in this class. So that one will be next. That's coming up in a few weeks. Don't forget to download and have available your instruction sheet, your templates. Put them in a plastic sleeve. Have them available in your book so that you've got that for future projects. You can make this over and over again. And then I have all of my blocks that I've made here so far. So I'll add this one here, and it'll be ready then for when we put the entire quilt together. We have our Hawaiian applique left to do. We have the stained glass, and I think that's all for the blocks. We've done all of the blocks then. We have these 2 blocks to go, and then we'll learn how to do the borders. Thank you so much for joining me for part 10 of our sampler quilt for our beginning quilting class. I look forward to seeing you all again in a few weeks, and hope you've enjoyed it. If you do like the content that I provide on my channel, please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment. I love to hear from my viewers. And then share these videos. Maybe you have some friends that would like to learn to quilt, or maybe your quilt guild would like to work on a project together. This would be a great option for you because you'll have everything that you need. The PDFs are here, the templates are available, everything that you need for the class is available to you. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I certainly have. And until next time, happy quilting.